And this can really affect our businesses. We have a cognitive bias to this, and we look for shortcuts to conserve energy. If it was just easy and anyone could do it, you wouldn't want it. It wouldn't be worth obtaining, right? But our brains are still wired like this. We're still wired with that scarcity to use the least amount of energy as possible. But I could see my brain trying to figure out reasons and going, I'm not going to do the exercise because it requires too much of my energy. I think we underestimate the power of effort and perseverance when it comes to success in any area of our life. I really want to talk on this subject today because it's really important for any entrepreneur who's struggling. Maybe there's challenges, maybe they get in their head and get distracted by life. It's really important to understand that everything requires effort and perseverance. And when we start, things aren't always going to be easy. They're not going to be easy. We can assume they're going to be easy, and that's very helpful, right? To have that positive outlook that things are going to go our way and it's all good. And that's totally fine, right? We want to have that kind of dumb dog mentality where we're just moving forward, not overthinking things. But when we get into the nitty-gritty of things and want to really go to the next level, right? Whether it's in our career or our business, even if it's in our health, the effort that was required to go to that next level, we don't realize, we underestimate. We might see someone doing really well, say in their business, say they're earning a good amount of money, maybe they've got a big amount of following on social media and they're running events or whatever it may be. And we think, oh, wow, they're doing really well. And it's easy for us to think like it's either easy to get there or it's easy for us to think it's very, very hard to get there, right? It's usually one or the other. And we don't really see behind the scenes, right? We just see the polished thing on the other end, usually. We see the polished person or we see the polished video, but we don't see behind the scenes. And some people show behind the scenes, but even then we can't really understand the complete totality of what's going on. We have no idea the amount of time, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears, the amount of sacrifice, the amount of money, the amount of other support that person's got. Just the amount of energy going behind it as well, and focus and discipline. And so this is what I really want to talk about today. And I think when we're starting off a business, it's good to just take one step forward and move in the direction, right? Just keep moving forward. And along the way, you're going to learn, right? You've got to take action. Often what happens is we overthink all the little things prior to us actually doing them. And then what happens, we overthink. We think, oh gosh, I can't do this, I can't do that. There's all this stuff involved in starting a business or doing what I want to do. And then we don't move forward. Right? I can think of, going on a hike, and I used to hike and want to go up to the top of the mountain peak. I'd see, gosh, how long it would take me. It'd take me 3 hours. I've got to go to this different spot. It's going to be this obstacle, that obstacle. I've got to get through all these things. And sometimes I would watch videos prior to hiking and I would study it and see everything that's required, what I need to carry, what I need to prepare, and all that's really good. But then sometimes that would create a bit of fear and a bit of like hesitancy and going, oh gosh, do I really want to put in that much effort? So I learned to, obviously a balance of being prepared, but I also learned I just got to go out there and walk. I just got to fill up my backpack and learn as I go, right? And learn and take one step at a time. Right? I don't have to be so over prepared. I don't have to know every single detail. I don't need to know the altitude of every moment. I don't need to know how to navigate every single obstacle. When I get to the obstacle, I will deal with it. I will handle it. That really helped me, and I learned to be present. I think this is really powerful in business. We need to be as present as we can. Now, one thing I want to touch on that to get to success, we dramatically underestimate the amount of effort required, but it's that little bit more effort, usually, a little bit more effort that gets more results. And I'm talking 90% of the results is probably an extra 10% of effort required. right? And you can even, some would say 20% to get 80% of the results, right? That extra 20%. Now, I believe it's 1% more. And that 1% more you do every single day adds in. That 1% could be in spending 1% extra on the lighting, 1% extra on the audio, 1% extra on the camera, 1% extra on the editing, right? Just that little bit more will take you from great to extraordinary, right, in your business. So a few people see that 1%. They don't see that 1% extra, and that's often what it takes to go the extra mile. Now, another thing I want to talk about, we can get in our head and stop and just eat. It's very easy for us to just quit. As soon as we come up against a hurdle, something challenging. For example, this video, putting it together, right? I got this big, massive light right here, and it's not easy to set up. It's huge, and I can't just pack it up and put it in the corner. It requires proper packing up, proper setting up. I need to make sure it's at the right height. I need to make sure the bottom is situated right so it doesn't fall. The cords behind it, I need enough power, and I need power for the camera. I need power for the laptop and a bunch of different things. So there's all these things. Plus the camera setting, right? I need to make sure the setting is right. I need to make sure it's not too far, not too close, make sure the angle's correct. There's all these different settings you have to learn on the camera. Then it's plugged into my computer. I have to have a special setting for my computer and a special app. And then I'm streaming straight to the app, and then I have to make sure the video settings are correct. There's all these things you have to change in the filters. Then there's the audio settings as well, and you've got to make sure the audio is right. You've got to set yourself up, right? So even I could be in my pajamas right now, but you've got to at least put on some clothes and look good, okay? And prepare. So a lot of these things are going on in the background. There's a power, there's a fan for the camera. There's a special cord which charges the camera, and the cord also links to my laptop, and I also need to make sure I'm charging my laptop. So there's all these things about power, overheating, lighting, just to get this video for you guys. Okay, and that's not even half of it. Then once I'm finished, if I've even done the video right, like maybe I haven't made the right take. Maybe I need to do the video again. Right? What's the structure of the video? I spend time. What's the video I'm talking about today? So all these little things. Plus, after I finish the video, I've got to edit the video. That's a whole nother skill. Some people have multiple angles, so you need multiple cameras, or you need to have cut scenes and to make the video more engaging. So that's a whole nother skill to learn, and time and energy. Then when you create the video, then you need a thumbnail, you need a description, right? There's all these things, and these days as well, people are making pre-videos of all the best bits of the video to make sure people are engaged at the start of the video to keep them watching. Right? So there's so much things going on, even uploading and the storage behind this stuff. You've got to make sure you're recording it on a certain setting, so that if you record it too high quality, you won't have enough storage, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of things, learning about technology, recording multiple takes, the cables, the equipment, the storage, the software settings, all this stuff goes on. And, I'm telling you this now and you're thinking, oh gosh, it's a lot of stuff, Jacob, to prepare just for this video, a lot of effort. But this is my business. I enjoy this, right? So I will endure, okay? Because I have a strong enough reason why. Now, a lot of us, we get caught up in our head and starts wouldn't even invest in any of this equipment. A lot of this equipment is not cheap. The camera, the laptop, the lighting, microphones, the cables, not cheap. So they required investment. I had to go to the stores with my brother and we had to buy equipment. Then there was equipment that didn't work. We had to buy new equipment. That didn't work, new equipment. So it's all this learning and practicing through action. So, the amount of effort going in, and we're not even professionals. There's people that have way more expensive equipment and way bigger productions. They have 6, 7 cameras and they have a team behind them and so much going on. So just wanted to give you an example there of how much actually goes on, what effort is required, and we can, I could have stopped when I was trying to fiddle the light, or I could have stopped when the audio wasn't working, but sometimes we don't know everything. We don't know all the answers. So it's really good to just ask for help. The biggest thing, proximity and having the right people. Okay, and if you're not a specialist, you don't have to be a specialist. You just got to know someone. Okay, and these days you can learn, if you ask the right questions online, you can get the right answers. If you have the right people around you who are willing to endure and not stop at that first hurdle or challenge, then you can learn. I'm grateful I got my brother, and I can learn a lot from him, and he helps me with all this technical stuff. Okay? So we can all learn this. Now, I wanted to also talk about the mentality that goes into this, because one thing is having all the equipment and enduring, but a lot of it comes down to your own mental psychology, right? Getting yourself into the right state, showing up when you don't feel like it. Like today, could I've easily just said, "Oh, don't feel like recording"? Yeah, I could have. Just went for a walk or rode my motorbike, all right. But there's a strong enough reason why, and I know when I do this, I'm going to feel good on the other end because I've had enough repetition. Right? I have reference experience. Okay, so showing up when we don't feel like it, creating. When you're not feeling motivated, just to create, and you've got to stay focused too. There's so many distractions, like so many things going on. I could be on my phone. It could be hanging out with friends. There's stuff going on in the team. We're getting messages coming through. Leads are coming through. Clients are messaging us. There's potential people. We're running a bit of a promotion. So there's things going on. And I can get very distracted, of course. So you've got to stay focused on the task. Big thing about success. Putting away all the distractions. Everyone wants to hang out. Hey, what are you doing? Messages, social media. There's a lot going on. We have to stay focused, zone in, and lock in. It's a very important part. And, we've got to also realize this, we're not going to feel the instant gratification from this. We may not earn $1 million off this video, right? It might be after 1,000 of these videos that I finally get the reward. So we've got to think long term, not short term as well, in any area, right? If we go to the gym, we can go to the gym for a couple of days, have a good few big lifts, pump some weights, build some muscle, but then what do we know? We have to be consistent. The muscle doesn't grow anymore if we stop going to the gym. So if we don't use it, we lose it. And most people get the best results when they are consistent in the gym, right? One of the most important things. I was at the gym earlier today and I wanted to grab a certain bar and do triceps. I wanted to lie down on the bench. I needed a bench. Okay, plenty of benches, but the dumbbell, right, the bar that I needed was on the other side. There's no benches near there. And I realized in my mind, okay, all I got to do is grab one of the benches, drag it over to the dumbbells, and I can just do my triceps. And I realized that my brain was trying to find an easy route. It didn't want to use effort, right? We're biologically wired like this. We don't want to use any effort. We want to use as less energy as possible to achieve what we need to achieve. And this is biologically driven because, when we lived in tribes and we didn't have an abundance of food. We were in scarcity. So we didn't know when we were going to eat next. It wasn't guaranteed. So we had to conserve energy. So our brain thinks about conserving energy, taking the easy route, taking the easy road instead of the hard road. All right? And this can really affect our businesses. We have a cognitive bias to this, and we look for shortcuts to conserve energy. But right now I've got Uber, I can grab my phone and just call Uber Eats. And I can have 10,000 calories at my doorstep without even moving, right? But our brains are still wired like this. We're still wired with that scarcity to use the least amount of energy as possible. So I was at the gym and I thought, no, like I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab the bar. So I'll walk over. I'm going to require more energy, pick it up, and I'm going to walk to the bench, right? It requires more effort and energy. But I could see my brain trying to figure out reasons and going, I'm not going to do the exercise because it requires too much of my energy. It requires too much. And this is the same. A lot of people avoid certain lifts. They avoid certain exercises like deadlifts or squats, right? Bench press, because what that does, it's their compound exercises. They require more energy, right? So we avoid this. And it's not just in the gym. So it's taking that 1% and going, yeah, I'm going to take that 1% more and do that. I'm going to just push through, right? And being aware of that, that's a key thing there, right? And you'll see this in the gym. The ones who put in the extra, right? They're willing to go to failure, are the ones that get the best results. So another thing when it comes to this, I think if we're doing something that we value, right, something that's important to us, then we're going to push through those little challenges. Now, if you see health as something valuable, you're going to push through. You're going to put more effort in. If you see creating a video is valuable, or you're going to put more energy. So it's about understanding that and understanding that there's going to be times where you're not going to want to do it, and there's going to be times when you're going to do it. But when it's a business, you've got to treat it like a business, and you've got to do it in times when you don't even feel like doing it. All right, it's the key point. And we got to just take one step at a time. We have to be present. We've got to not overthink every single detail. We will understand that and learn, right, through taking action. Right, but the most important thing is a lot of people just don't take enough action. Right? They get caught up in their own head. They don't want to use energy or effort, and but then we just don't do anything. So a good thing to do is to be aware of that and make things easier and prepared. So what people do when it comes to weight loss, improving their physique, they do meal prepping. So what's meal prepping? It's preparing ahead in advance. Preparing because your brain's going to get lazy and it's going to want to go and get fast food. Then instead of the fast food, bang, you've already got your meal there, prepared, ready to go. You don't want to waste that. What a waste. You want to use that meal. So it's preparing. And we can do this in business, right? We can have things prepped. I can have this camera set up, prepped for me, ready to go, and I can just come in and press the button. Obviously, this is not a studio, okay? So I can't have this permanently set up. That's why people have studios in their places, and that's an unfair advantage because they're prepped. All they've got to do is walk in and turn the camera on, turn the laptop on, set up their microphone, and press play. The light's already there, everything's set up, the angles, it's all ready to go, right? And by doing that, it requires less energy. So we can use that energy elsewhere, right? And when it requires less energy, when it's easy, we're more likely to do it. Okay, this is the thing. And you'll see there's a lot of successful people I've seen, billionaires, and they just wear the same thing every day. They wear a black shirt or a white shirt, and it's just the same shirt, and they have like the whole wardrobe is full of just the same thing because they don't want to use energy on what to wear. They want to use and conserve that energy and use it in important decisions in the business. So understanding that as well, we all have a certain amount of energy, and if we have too many obstacles in the way to the thing that we want to do, it's going to use up a lot of our energy. And mentally, again, we want to avoid using up energy, even though we've got plenty of energy. Right? So it's good to understand that, to be prepared and know where you want to put your energy and where you don't. Right? Anything you don't want to use it and waste energy. A lot of things that we waste our energy on. Heaps, Could be using energy on bloody stuff that's going on in the world. Could be using our energy on gossip, drama, things that don't concern us, right? Problems going on. A lot of areas we can use our energy. And you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs who start outsourcing certain things like cleaning, like their laundry, right? And even cooking, grocery shopping, things like that, right? Because these things require energy and they want to really utilize every single piece of energy they have to their business. So those are the things I want to talk about today. And, that's the key thing is just, it requires more effort than you think to achieve success and to get results better than other people. And, I think anything worth attaining requires more effort because it's worth attaining. If it required least amount of effort, everyone could just do it, right? Not a big deal. So if you think about cooking a home meal, right? And say you're cooking something special and it requires effort and you're chopping it and preparing the ingredients, you researched it, went and sourced the ingredients, spent time, right? It makes the meal more valuable. But rather, if I was just go to McDonald's and give you McDonald's, the meal's not as valuable, right? Everyone can get McDonald's, it's fast, it's delivered. It's not anything special. So things that require more effort, like building your business, like having a good physique, improving your health, is going to be more valuable. And that's why it requires more effort. And if it was just easy and anyone can do it, you wouldn't want it. It wouldn't be worth obtaining. So I think effort is a cost and should be something that you really don't take for granted and go, yes, this requires effort. And that's why I want to do it. If it didn't require effort, I wouldn't want to do it. Would it be worth me doing it? Would it be worth my effort if it was easy, if anyone could do it?